Patreon. I am super excited. I'm on my way into town to go cash this winning Mega Millions ticket. No, I'm not. I'm on my way into town to go do leg day at the gym. And by leg day, I mean take a 20-pound sledgehammer and give myself a facelift with it 3 or 4 times. But we do the things that suck because we're men. Men do the hard things. The end. What kind of exercises are you going to do, T? You know, the leg ones. But that's not what we're here to talk about, is it? No, it's not. We are here to talk about water storage for SHTF. When the poo hits the ventilator. Get out of my way, Chevy. You're welcome. Words. They're the best words. They are tremendous, and you should believe me. This is Patreon, so what does it matter? You know, I saw an article recently where, you know how Trump does the OK sign? Believe me, these are the best hand signs. Everybody tells me how good these hand signs are. This apparently is somehow in social justice warrior media circles considered to be a white power hand sign and is a dog whistle to all of Trump's neo-Nazi supporters every time that he does it. Like, man, you guys need something real to worry about. For real. Like, this is why I don't dive into politics, because it's all a bunch of stupid BS as far as I'm concerned. Does it have real ramifications geopolitically? Yep. That's why I watch Pastor Joe's World Sit Reps. Then I'm going to go, okay, maybe I should pay attention to that. Other than that, I could care less. This is not a white power sign. This means okay. Okay? Okay. Believe me. Now, how much water should I store for the end of the world as we know it, man? When the zombies come and try and rape my dog and eat my children? Short answer, as much as possible. I've touched on this a lot, and I wanted to touch on it again because we continue to get questions on this, and because we've been kind of talking about food storage lately, a little on, a little off, some food storagey things. And so water matters. It matters as much or more, potentially more than food does. I mean, in the micro, it matters more than food does. You will die sooner without water than you will without food. So it should definitely be on your list of things to take care of. And I apologize for the extremely bumpy ride today, but it rained like a bajillion inches yesterday. I had 11, I know y'all are gonna cringe because it's unsafe, 11 high water crossings getting home yesterday on this road that I'm on. 11. A couple of them were really deep, which is a whole nother consideration of water for SHTF. In fact, let's just go there. Why not? We talk often about storing water, but what are your considerations for rainwater runoff in your area? How likely are you to be flooded? Not even kidding. We have a couple of inflatable boats, think like a rib but smaller, like a little Zodiac. Yeah, we have a couple of those, and actually that's a lie. We have one of those and an inflatable kayak, which is actually pretty BA. At first I thought it was just a toy, but it's actually pretty BA. Anyway, we literally developed a system around those two things here on property, using those and 1/2-inch rope, which I have, let's not exaggerate, 1,000 feet of 1/2-inch climbing line. Cormantle climbing line, just for high water, because we get a lot of rain where we live. And thanks to the grand solar minimum ? We're getting even more than we normally would get, i.e. a hell of a lot of rain. And it is to the point, it has been to the point where we have thought to ourselves, we might need a way to get out of here that does not include a vehicle, like a gasoline powered 4-wheel drive vehicle, because of the rain, just the water that we get. My creek that's normally 12 feet wide next to my house was 100 feet wide and running yesterday. So what are you going to do about that? Something worth considering if you're in a watershed area. If you have bodies of water near you. There has been historic rainfall in our area since we moved here, and frankly, it's driving me crazy. You know, we hear a lot, if you're paying attention to Christian at Ice Age Farmer or Adapt 2030, David Dubine, and there's a couple other ones, Oppenheimer Ranch, and what's that other one? My wife watches one, the guy does solar weather. Gosh, I can't remember his name. That truck looks almost precisely like a friend of mine's truck, but it's not him. That's good. I can't remember the name of it. But point being, man, you hear a lot about these crop losses, you know, as a whole. I have corn that I planted with a brother 2 months ago. Corn. 2 months ago we planted it. He brought his tractor down and everything. We did the things. I shot a video on it, man. It was great. I've got corn that like should be corn by now, but it's not corn. Thanks, Grand Solar Minimum. So, you know, half of our garden has come up and the other half hasn't. And, you know, it might have been the wrong year to go ahead and do a Back to Eden method garden, because there's so much water underneath those wood chips. You know, that's not great for a lot of plants. So something to consider there while we're talking about water and the end of the world as we know it, man. Gosh, I'm not looking forward to leg day. Whatever, suck it up, Buttercup. Roger that. Thanks, Dad. You got it. Okay, moving on. How much water should I have? How much water should I store, T? There's me and my wife, and we really like each other, so we've got 12 kids. Okay, that's 14 people. Times 3, that'd be 42 gallons of water per day. 3 gallons of water per person per day. Now, and I know a lot of you guys, you hardcore people, you've been here a long while. Just got a message from somebody who's like, bro, I've been following you since you had 50 subs. Finally made it to Patreon. Thanks for being here. I mean, really, thank you. That's awesome. Super cool looking sky over there. Oh gosh, there's some squirrel moments, shiny object syndrome everywhere. It's nice to be able to see the sky. It's not pouring rain right now. So I've been saying this forever and a day, 3 gallons per person per day. 1 gallon for cooking, 1 gallon for cleaning, 1 gallon for drinking. I had 7 quarts of water yesterday. I believe that's accurate, 7. So take that for what it is. I mean, that would, for me, would be 3.75 gallons of water. I also took a shower already today, and I'm gonna probably take another one after the gym, because right now is day of prep, Friday, leg day, and I don't want to be smelly dirty during Shabbat. Not that I am against showering, bathing on Shabbat. It's just, you know, I like to go into Friday evening not smelling like a guy who just got back from the gym. So point being, my water usage is way up compared to what even I recommend as a minimum for storing for an individual per day. But 3 gallons per person per day, 1 for cooking, 1 for cleaning, 1 for drinking. Now that's an average, right? My kids, like Aspen, doesn't use a gallon of water per person per day to drink, but she is a messy little weasel, so she probably uses more than that to clean up after, so forth and so on, right? And so it's simple math. If you got 5 people in your family, 5 times 3 is 15 gallons per day, times 30 days in a month is 450 gallons. This is where it starts to get complicated, because storing 450 gallons is not easy. And so, like, where? Do you store them in 1 gallon cans, 5 gallon cans, 55 gallon drums, IBC totes? What do we do? How do we store these things? IBC totes seem to be the bomb. I have a decent amount of experience, 4 years-ish experience with the blue 55 gallon plastic drums. And with the plastic, don't laugh, They're called bung holes, guys. Yeah, bung hole. That's right. It's a real thing. It's not just Beavis and Butthead rewind. Bung hole with the plastic bung holes. I said bung hole like 6 times. You're welcome. Bung hole. So I have a good amount of experience with those. They've held up just fine in Texas in the freeze and the thaw, and there's enough thermal battery capacity in those for North Texas that they don't freeze solid. I've never had them freeze solid. And I've had no algae grow in them, and I've used water out of the tap, which is chlorinated in there, and I checked it 6 months ago. They were fine. Like, I put water in there yesterday. They are outside, but they are undercover, and the sun does not hit them. So take that for what it is. But you got to figure out, how am I going to store all of this water? I think the most amount of water you should try and move at any one time is about 5 gallons. Now, theoretically, you can move a 55-gallon drum with a dolly. They make special, custom designed drum dollies for moving drums. That's a lot of weight. 8.35 gallons, 8.35 pounds per gallon, 475 pounds that thing weighs. That's ridiculous, man. And so that's rolling on a hard, smooth surface, not across the field in the back 40, right? So can you move a 55-gallon drum? Yes. Is it expedient? Probably not. And it's potentially dangerous, right? And remember, like, part of your medical protocol is not exposing yourself to dangerous things as much as possible. So it's potentially dangerous. You have that thing go sideways and hit somebody's leg, you got a major problem potentially. So I like 5-gallon containers for portable water, and then water that stays in situ, that stays in place, 55-gallon drums, or IBC totes, the 225s, the 275s, and I think there are some that are 335. So just bust out your old scientific calculator, your pocket protector with like 8 or 10 different types of pens and mechanical pencils in there, probably a Carpenter pencil and like a 0.5 and a 0.7 and maybe a 1.0 for writing in bold, and a Sharpie and a fountain pen and a Bic pen and a penknife, and right, get all that going, bust your calculator out and start doing some math. So 450 gallons per month for a 5-person household is a minimum. There comes a point where I really think it's worth investigating a stock tank, basically a pond that holds water, like we did in North Texas. We've got a couple more to do actually for other clients, and so I say we have to. Potentials, because they are not signed contracts yet, but they're potentials. So, y'all willing, we'll do them. But at some point, it's just awful hard to store the amount of water that you need. So then you need to consider, how am I going to get more of this expendable resource? Well, rainwater collection for show. We are this year, which I can't believe it's already halfway through the year, we are this year getting rainwater collection set up on property at our place. And our place is teeming with water. I have more of it than I need, like literally. And we are still prioritizing rainwater collection this year on property because I think it's that important. We've got the 3 wells, we've got the 3 creeks, we've got 2 springs on property that we've located. One's a wet weather spring and the other one seems to be continuous. Although, to be fair, we've had record freaking rainfall this year, so how am I supposed to know that it's not a wet weather spring? All we've had is wet weather. Thanks for the shades, brother Les. Appreciate you, man. So then we've got the stock tank, and we've got all of the different things on property, and we are still prioritizing rainwater collection. It's also fairly cheap as far as barrier to entry goes. I mean, for just a couple $300, including the IBC totes, if that, you're up and running, man. You're up and running collecting water. And so there's some very easy calculations you can Google. Square footage of a roof that will give you, if there's a 1-inch rain, that equates to X number of gallons. that's in a perfect closed loop system. So you are going to have some loss, which we're getting into the weeds there, but there is some mathematical loss, some slop in the equation, which is fine, man. You're gonna, one decent rain off of a smallish roof is gonna fill your IBC tote, one rain. So that's good. That's a good thing. We want that. So rainwater collection for sure, and it's not really expensive, and it's not really hard to do. You just got to get the stuff and do it. I just got to get the stuff and do it. So it's like PJ when he does a sermon. He says, when I'm pointing at you, I've got 4 fingers pointing back at me. But I really think it's 3, unless he bends his thumb backwards. But anyway, I need to do it as well. And your thumb's not a finger, it's a phalange. Roger that, thanks. It's bright again, shades on. So you need some type of way to replenish your water stores. Rainwater is good because you can localize it, you can centralize it. It's here, it's set up, it stays here. Another thing that it's a backup plan of ours, and one that I advocate to people that we consult with, is have a garden cart, spend $100 on a garden cart, and get 4 to 6 5-gallon buckets with lids, and know where your nearest water source is. Can you walk there, fill the buckets, and walk back? Doesn't necessarily need to be easy, but can you do it? And then up from there, can you hook your garden cart to your riding lawnmower, or to your tractor, or to your the best words, or to your mule, or 4-wheeler, or draft horse, or whatever, right? And move water that way. Go capture water that way. So that's something to consider as well. I love it when people are pulling out, and instead of getting on their side, they get right in the middle so that it's actually not possible for you to pull out. That's my favorite. I like that. That's good stuff. We will pull into this spot right here, sit here, and put a bow on this conversation. Shazam! Love it. All right. We are also doing solar backup on our wells because they are already there. I've talked a little bit about that on camera. It's still something that we need to do. It is a priority this year. So you should investigate that as well. And then another thing that I think is kind of tertiary, but doesn't mean you don't do it. Pull out a topo map, or just get on, sorry, not a topo map, combo map, or get on Google Earth or whatever, and find the nearest creek, ponds, and lakes to you. Know where they are, and can you walk there? And can you walk back? Just know where they are. But water storage is like a major thing, man. It's one of the things that I think most preppers do a pretty bad job at, that we need to do a better job of, because we take it for granted, man, myself included. Turn the faucet, water comes out. So directive 1 is determine how much water you will need on property. Okay, how much? Just do this simple math. 3 gallons per person per day. That's my rule. Other people have their own rules, nothing against them, but that's what I have found to work well for us based upon the research that I've done. And there is some factor of slop in there. Not everybody's going to use a gallon every day to clean, but if there's 5 of us, it might take 5 gallons to do the dishes and everybody get a sponge bath, right? You see what I mean here? It's not, Johnny, here's your 1 gallon allotment for cleaning today, is what I'm saying. Okay, but 3 gallons per person per day. Directive 2, determine how you're going to store the water for immediate use and for long term, right? So that could be a combination of 1 gallon jugs. It could be 5-gallon buckets filled up with water, or 5-gallon jugs filled up with water, 55-gallon drums, or totes, which I meant to say, if you have a tractor or a piece of heavy equipment with forks, you can move totes, but you're definitely not moving that much water by hand, unless it's on a cart and you have a draft horse or something, but that's not by hand. You're just, those things don't move real well, so consider that. Water is very heavy, 8.35 pounds per gallon. So if you've got 1,000 gallons of it, guess what? You got 8,350 pounds of water. or 4.15 tons ish. That's a considerable weight. And then Directive 3 is develop a way to replenish your water stores. As you use your water storage, how are you going to get more? Whether that's rainwater collection, solar on your well, garden cart with 5-gallon buckets in it to go scavenge water somewhere, the creek by your house, whatever. Hand dig a well. You just need a way to replace what you're using, okay? So that's our little talk on water storage today. I hope you guys learned a thing or two. Thanks for sticking with me in all my squirrel shiny object moments. And I'm going to go in here and do the dreaded leg day. Shalom.